AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Hi, this is Mike Helton, President of NASCAR, and you're listening to The Front Stretch.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That is karting with a K. Get to Joe's today for fast-paced, white-knuckle racing that you can only experience at the Metro's only indoor karting facility.
Did I just hear that right? Was that Mike Helton, President of NASCAR?
Yeah, it's a good news. We haven't been kicked out of Kansas yet.
Yeah.
There's still time. And I got to sit and throw a microphone in front of Mike Helton's face and do a liner for me real quick. And frankly, I'm still a little scared of it. Lined up for you today, we're going to talk a couple of interviews we've got lined up for you. Johanna Long, driver of the number 70 Nationwide car. We'll also talk to TJ Bell, who was driving the number 40 the Motorsports Group car in Nationwide. We'll talk to... I almost said Sam Hornish Jr. We'll talk to Kyle Larson, obviously driving on the 32 at Nationwide, and then we'll also talk with Justin Fantozi, who is the marketing manager for Goodyear. Talk to him about the multi-tread tire and what they can expect today.
Got a heck of a show lined up.
And listen, this has been single-handedly the dumbest 3 days of my life. I had some pretty record-breaking dumb days when I was as a teenager, but this has been a rough few days. We got an interview with Sam Hornish Jr., and then I forgot all about it. So basically, we stiffed him. I apologized profusely, rescheduled the interview the next day. We're all set up, ready to go, did the interview, and Sam sounded great, very well-spoken, intelligent guy, and then I forgot to hit the record button.
Wow.
So...
lay off the peroxide, Dan.
Yeah, it was a rough day for me. But like I said, we got some great interviews lined up for you. We're also going to check in with PJ Pederson, who was the track announcer last night at Crawford County Speedway. Did a special one-off season-ending race to kind of break in turns 3 and 4 where they redesigned it. We'll talk to PJ about the results and how the racing went. I think from the text messages I got last night, went pretty good.
Yeah.
He was pretty excited about it. Turn 4, we will break down what we expect to see today at Kansas Speedway. Tickets are still available, by the way, for the the Hollywood Casino 400 here at Kansas Speedway. Most of our listening area, you're just a couple of hours away from Kansas Speedway. You have plenty of time to pack up your beer, pack up some clothing, some chairs, some little firewood maybe, and head down to Kansas Speedway.
And we were just looking right there online. $29 for the cheap seats, and you're mentioning, Dan, here at Kansas Speedway, the best kept secret at $29 a piece for the ticket.
I love that seat. I love that section. We the very first time I came was with my sister and brother-in-law years and years ago. I believe it was 06 or so. And we had bought tickets out in Turn 1, watched half the race down there in Turn 1, and then met up with some friends over in the top of Turn 4, and I loved those seats. And then the next year we did the exact same thing, and I think the view up in Turn 4 is much better. Bring yourself a pair of binoculars so you can see a little more finer detail, but for the most part, that Turn 4 is absolutely gorgeous. It's in the sun, which is going to be a benefit today and the rest of this weekend. But tickets just starting at $29 for a NASCAR Sprint Cup chase race.
You can't even do that in football, even for the regular season.
And that also includes the pre-race concert with Everclear, who we're going to head out there after the show and go and watch them. A great, fantastic band from back in the 90s and the 2000s. And I'm really excited to go see that. How about we get to our first interview?
Yeah, let's do it.
We sat down with Johanna Long, and this was the result of that interview. All right, Buddy Ray and Dan Taylor sitting in the number 70 hauler with Johanna Long, a 21-year-old Nationwide driver. First off, Johanna, starting off, talk about your getting into racing a little bit, how you got started in it down in Pensacola, Florida, if I'm correct.
Well, like you said, I am from Pensacola, Florida. I started racing when I was 8 years old. I was around racing since I was a little girl, growing up, watching my dad race at Five Flag Speedway and around the Gulf Coast. I raced go-karts for about 4 years, and then I moved up to a legend car. But my dad didn't know too much about legend cars, so I moved up to a late model when I was 13 years old into a full-blown stock car. So I raced late models. I'm still to this day. I won one of the biggest short track races in 2010 called the Snowball Derby. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what made branch out into the NASCAR scene. I raced 17 races with my family-owned team in the truck series, and now here I am with my second year with ML Motorsports in the 70 car.
Talk about your time in just a second year with ML Motorsports. Talk about your time with them. Has the progression been what you were hoping for? Is it? Give me your expectations on that as far as you're going for 2 years.
For sure. The first year I learned so much. Just being in the Nationwide car for the very first time and running these mile and a halves that I'm really not used to or don't have a lot of experience on. So I've learned a lot. This second year, it's crazy how much I feel like I've learned from the first year and to carry on to this year. And I feel like I'm a completely better driver, and I've learned so much more this second year. What's
your favorite thing about coming back to Kansas, but also give us the most challenging thing about running Kansas Speedway?
Well, that car is one of my favorite cars, so I'm really looking forward to that. Really comfortable in that car, but this racetrack's really fast. We ran here good in the past. Like I said earlier, I don't have a lot of experience on mile and a half racetracks, so I feel like this one is a lot of fun, and I learn so much every time I get on it. But I'm just excited. It's a really fast-paced racetrack.
You're obviously a 21-year-old girl, and we know a lot of these girls that are 21-year-old like to go out and have fun. They party, they get in trouble. Not comparing you to her, but, i.e. Miley Cyrus, which is, by the way, the first and only time we'll ever mention Miley Cyrus on this show. So please don't turn off your radios.
Hey, I don't like to party, but I like her music. Is that bad?
What I'm asking is that, you're a role model for a lot of these up-and-coming drivers. And you understand that. I've heard you in interviews talk about it before. So does that hinder your kind of go out and get your party on a little bit?
No, because I don't feel like I'm a big partier anyways. I like to go out and have fun with my friends, but this is my career, and I know what I want in life, and I don't push that limit. I like just seeing little girls at the racetrack and looking up to me, and there's a lot of people wanting to be where you are, where I'm at right now, and you got to take advantage of that. You have to be completely focused in every parts of your life you can be, because if you blink, it could be gone.
Is it a little weird being 21 years old and you've got people that look up to you? I mean, I'm 31 and I don't want people looking up to me. I don't want that.
It's really cool. Looking back, if I was 8 years old, I never once would have thought that I would be sitting here today talking to you guys, and especially at Kansas Speedway. This is a big dream come true, and I'm very humble for it, but I definitely wouldn't be here without ML Motorsports.
Well, we're pretty excited that you're excited to talk to us. That's what you meant, right?
I didn't think I'd ever be here talking to Johanna Long.
So let's talk about outside of racing. A lot of people this time of the season, they get burnt out. It's a grind every single week at a different track, on the road, in a hall. It's just such a grind. What do you do to get away from racing to make sure you're not burnt out on it or you're not getting too frustrated?
Well, I don't race the full season. I get 21 races a year, so once I get to a racetrack, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. If I could be at a racetrack every weekend, even off season, I would be there. Even if I'm not racing a nationwide series, I'm at a late model racetrack racing or even just watching. So I eat, sleep, and breathe it. It doesn't bother me.
With you racing your late model at Five Flag Speedways, and then you come up here to the Nationwide Series, has Nationwide taught you a lot of stuff that you can actually take back into your late model racing? And does that actually help you quite a bit?
Yeah, for sure. But I just feel like being in a car, it doesn't matter what it is, just learning car control and just being in a race car constantly, I feel like it helps you. It helps your confidence when you run good, and you race and you're in a car all the time. You feel like you're high. I feel like it helps you just mentally.
You mentioned, I believe, 2 years with the number 70 team here. In those 2 years, what is the most improved aspect with you and the team over the course of time?
I feel like communication. You learn these guys. When you first come in, you don't know anything about them. You're just, hey, I'm here to drive a car, you know what I mean? So I feel like now, they get that I'm here and I'm very passionate on what I do. And like I said, I don't know what I would do without racing if I didn't have it. So I feel like just them knowing me and getting to know each other and also, like, when I'm out on the racetrack, knowing what I want in a race car, I feel like is really big, and I've learned that, and being able to really communicate with my crew chief a lot better than what I have the first year has helped us a tremendous amount.
The communication aspect, do you take the Kurt Busch style where you just have a bleep in the car all the time, or do you prefer to be the explain everything clearly?
I try to explain it as best as I can. I get a little flustered sometimes for sure, but I feel like that's with any driver. Everyone gets really flustered, but you got to look at it. These guys are out here want it just as bad as you do, and they're working hard. But it's sometimes it's hard to know that people aren't listening to my radio.
Say, when Kurt's going off on the radio, and I apologize to keep bringing him up, but just keep your finger off the microphone. So do you, obviously there's times you may be in the car when you're flustered. Do you just keep your finger off the microphone and just scream?
I have a really loud voice anyway, so I feel like they think I'm yelling at them, but I'm really not. But
oh, I thought you meant as you're going past the front stretch, you're screaming and the spotter's hearing you up on the stand without the microphone cue.
No.
Not that loud?
No, I'm pretty loud, though. You have to turn your radio down really low, so if you're listening to me, make sure you turn it down low.
Well, we're going to have to do that this weekend. So that was Johanna Long, driving the number 70 ML Motorsports car in the Nationwide yesterday. A rough day for her yesterday here at Kansas Speedway for the Kansas Lottery 300.
I tell you what, very well-spoken young lady, though. Easy on the eyes, too. I got to tell you, she's pretty good-looking, but very, very well-spoken, very mature for her age, which we're seeing a lot of that in today's sports, whether it be racing or football or whatever. You just see a lot of maturity really coming up through the ranks.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in turn 2 to talk to play Kyle Larson's interview. We'll also talk with Justin Fantozi from Goodyear, and we'll also check in with PJ Pederson from Crawford County Speedway. This is the Front Stretch, turn 1, brought to you by Kansas Speedway, KansasSpeedway.com, or 1-866 460-RACE, 1-866-460-7223, but it's the day of the race, so just come on down here, get to the gate, buy your tickets in person, and come check out the chase race. Number 4, and there is a possibility for fireworks today if you saw the Nationwide. We'll elaborate in turn 4. It's the Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308-383-9609, 308-383-9609.
Eagle Raceway wants to thank all their loyal fans for another great season of racing at Nebraska's Bull Ring. 2013 may be in the books, but 2014 is just around the turn. So make sure and get your season tickets today. Never miss a lap of all the action with season passes to Eagle Raceway in Eagle, Nebraska. A full schedule of events, ticket prices, and much more is located online at eagleraceway.com or by phone at 402-283-2595.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, located just north of Bass Pro. Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
We're working the high line into turn 2 on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
This is Jack Roush, and you're listening to the Front Stretch.
And thank you for joining us this beautiful Sunday morning. The sun is rising over the stretch at Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, obviously. It's a good place to put Kansas Speedway is in Kansas City. KansasSpeedway.com for more ticket information. But turn 2 brought to you by Shamrock Limousine. If you're going to come down to the Speedway and you're going to watch a NASCAR race, why not roll in style? Give Jim and everybody a call over at Shamrock Limousine. a call today and get yourself a limousine for whatever you have going on. If it's to roll up like a boss at a NASCAR race, if it's for a bachelor party, a night out in the town, a wedding reception, whatever it may be, ShamrockLimoSite.com is the website for more information, or you can give them a call, 712-325-0539, 712-352-0539.
You know, we in the commercial break there, you heard about Joe's Karting working with local restaurants to cater your event, and we're really, really good at doing that. Goofy's, the old Goofy's bar in Council Bluffs, had a bachelor outing come in from out of Beatrice last night, and they said, "What is there to do in town?" So, let me sell you the experience. So, I told them, I was like, "Why don't you come to Joe's first? First, you got to come to Joe's, and then I want you
liquored up and come.
Then I want you to go over there and get liquored up." And they just had an amazing time. So, trust me, just because you come to Joe's, I can help you make a night out of the town.
You guys do it. It goes a little above and beyond. I mean, you do go above and beyond in making sure people are taken care of when they come to Joe's, outside of when they leave Joe's.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like I want to be a concierge for the city of Council Bluffs. I'm like, well, why don't you come race go-karts here? Then you can go over here and get a beer, and then you can go over here and go do this. I mean, I want you to make a night out of it. Have fun in Council Tuck.
We had an opportunity. Bluffs. Hey, you know what? I just remembered this, and this is an incredibly insensitive thing that we forgot about it, but I saw the flags at half-staff, and I wanted to make sure we send out our thoughts and prayers to everybody who was affected by the storms earlier this week. You had family that was affected by it.
There was a chance I may not even have been here today.
You were one nervous Nelly Thursday night and Friday morning until you got a hold of your family, made sure everyone was okay. Checked in with my family in southwest Iowa, and while the storm was rolling through, I'll give you one guess where my mom and dad were at.
Dr. Zanizer and Bush's office?
Yes, they were at the bar.
That's true Southwestern Iowa style.
Oh boy, my dad's not ready to start picking yet. So the harvester's not going. He's bored, so he was sitting at the bar.
Being an old farm boy growing up, and really want to send my thoughts and prayers out specifically to Wayne, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Extremely hard hit. Several towns. Alta was hammered in Iowa. Big racing communities from both. A lot of racers coming out of both areas there. Yep. So all of our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of the tornadoes.
Well, earlier Friday this week, we got to sit down with TJ Bell. We don't have a lot of big-time driver interviews. Frankly, we were a little surprised to get Sam Hornish Jr. and Kyle Larson, but we like these Johanna Long and TJ Bell interviews because
they're laid back.
Yeah, they're much more personal. You could tell, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking bad about Kyle Larson, but you could tell that he has gone through that coaching process of how to answer a question to not set yourself up for a situation to where they may come back at you later and say, well, I heard you say this. And, the media can be real vultures at times, and that's not the way we like to do this. And the TJ Bell interview we'll play for you right now is a prime example of how we just like to have fun. Sitting in the holler for the Motorsports Group, good friends of the front stretch, obviously, with Hudson Hall and the driver this weekend for the Nationwide Series, TJ Bell. TJ, thanks for joining us.
Oh, not a problem. Thanks for coming up in our little lounge area.
This is nice. This is a lot nicer than we get at our regular dirt tracks.
Yeah. It'd be a lot better if we could be watching practice right now.
Well, it's just Jimmy Johnson spinning out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that means he's going to win, I guess.
Yeah, that does, because the worst thing you could do is make that guy mad.
Yeah.
Let me ask you that question. What is your drive for racing? Jimmy, you talk about Jimmy Johnson, the old 5-time, going for number 6, and he seems to have his little nicks here and there where he's incredibly hot. But if you piss him off, that's when you really need to worry. So is that the same thing? You can put that visor down and kind of put the head down and get to the front.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And a lot of different drivers have different motivation. A lot of us are driving for jobs. It's a sport that is based on how you run and if you're good enough. So I think, obviously, we're racing because we love it, and that's how we got here, is because the love of the sport. But a lot of times we're worried about our jobs. So, you're driving for a job a lot of times, and just the competitiveness of a race car driver in general. We could be racing spit wads down the wall right now, and I'll be yelling and screaming and wanting to win, So I think that's just the deal right there.
How much of an added stress is that when you say to yourself, you're racing for jobs? there's obviously drivers out there that have got 2-3 year deals lined in. They've got developmental contracts. You're trying to come from the bottom, trying to get these jobs secured. Is that an added level of stress, when you go out there and maybe you get a little bit too loose and you spin it and you think, dang it, I just ruined it?
Yeah, no, I mean, you always worry about, making mistakes and losing your job. It's a big weight on your shoulder. So when you have great sponsors that come along that stay with you for a full year, you're with a great team that we're building for the next year. It's a huge relief, and and then it makes the sport a lot more fun. And when you're having fun in racing, everyone knows you're doing good. That's what Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, and that whole bunch really have, is because they know what they're going to be doing. I don't think Jimmy's ever going to have to worry about a ride, but they have fun doing it because, running up front is fun. And, when you do that, it just makes everything happier.
They were asking a driver earlier today about the tire situation. Now, you guys aren't on the Cup tire. You're on the same tire, I believe, as last year. Do you ever hear the tires singing to you, the tires talking to you? Do you ever experience that here at Kansas?
You can listen to them, and you definitely can tell, the harder tires we have. It's crazy. The Cup cars aren't even putting any rubber down on this racetrack right now. So that's going to be the whole variable, because our tires are going to lay down rubber. Those Cup cars are going to go back up, and they're going to pull all that rubber right back off the racetrack because they're not even laying rubber down. So, that's going to be the biggest variable, I think. And then also the ARCA tire. You got the Hoosier, which is the bias ply rubber. It's a lot slicker than our stuff. So really, depending on when you go out, if the ARCA cars have been out there, when the Cup cars have been out there, really gotta be mindful about all that stuff.
Buddy asked if the tires ever sing to you. If they do, what do they sing?
Well, we're in NASCAR, so it's probably country.
Let's talk about TJ Belt a little bit. Where do you come from, and how'd you get into this?
Born and raised in Reno, Nevada. Don't listen to country much out there. But I'm from the West Coast. Grew up in a racing family. Was at my first race in the desert when I was 2 weeks old. Dad raced off-road cars, and came about the NASCAR circuit a lot different than a lot of these guys. I did a lot of open-wheel racing as far as Formula 4 2000, Toyota Atlantics. Then I drove prototype sports cars, and then came over to the NASCAR world, jumped in a truck, and realized I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, it's the old Harry Hyde line from Days of Thunder, twice as big. It was true. I had no idea. So I went back to ARCA in 2004 and ended up Rookie of the Year, second overall in points championships. And ever since then, I've drove everything from truck all the way up to Cup. So just trying to find a solid deal and having a good time here with the Motorsports Group, and had some great sponsors last week at Dover with the Fire Store, and got to do a lot of cool stuff with the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation, which they're honoring all those 81 families this weekend actually in D.C. So it was pretty neat, and feel blessed to be able to do that, to give those guys a pretty good ride.
How can people get associated with that, or how can they look more into getting involved with that?
They can go to my Facebook page, Facebook. Follow us all, and you can get involved with all of it. We all pump it. It's something I definitely believe in. I've had a long-time sponsor with Hero Energy Shop, but we also have the Hero organization, which is all the people in uniforms, not just the military. It's the EMS workers, the policemen, the firefighters, the people at the racetrack here that keep us safe. If something happens, so I believe they're all heroes in my eyes.
We have a couple of local dirt truck drivers that, Buddy and I firmly believe they're talented enough to be up into the NASCAR circuit and compete on a competitive level. But what's holding them back is that all-important sponsorship. What's a piece of advice you could give to local dirt drivers to kind of nurture a relationship along with the sponsor to bring them up, get more money, to get more funding, to get better along?
Yeah, I mean, there's millions of kids all over the United States that don't get the chance. And that's the tough part of the sport. But the biggest thing is just be able to talk to these people, be able to show them the return on investment. The day of just putting a sticker on a race car is almost over. There's got to be cause marketing. There's got to be business to business. It helps if it's something you strongly believe in. That's where we've stuck with the Hero organization and Hero Energy Shot, and been able to do some great things with companies involved in that. So if it's something you're very passionate about, it makes your job a lot easier. Driving the race car is the easiest thing I do, honestly. So the rest of it's the tough part, but that's what makes this sport go. Everyone knows speed is money.
PJ, and I was talking to you, Hudson, earlier before we started the interview. You walk up and down the garage area right here, and it smells like a barbecue pit. Good Lord, I think you guys eat better than I do in one day than I'd eat in a year at home. With that being said, real quick, what's your guys' favorite things to eat while you're out on the road, honestly?
I mean, obviously here we definitely have a lot of barbecue. A lot of the hauler drivers do a great job of cooking food. I mean, as you can see by Hudson's physique, we don't miss many meals. I'm just joking, buddy. Sorry.
I was thinking of that job security.
Hudson, he works his butt off, but.
Remember, he's your spotter for practice today.
I know, man.
That'd be nice to your spotters.
Clear, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see that car in front
Yeah,
of
you okay? Put your window net down. No, like I told Hudson a long time ago, if I'm not making fun of him, that means I don't like him. So, but no, it's cool. We get different places, and you get favorite restaurants at different places that we all have to go to. Atlanta, I have to go to Steel, which is a sushi place. Here, I actually have a sushi place here that I love as well. Last night we went to a cool little like brewery. Beers that were just pretty decent. Yeah, of course. But yeah, that's the coolest part, is being able to travel so many places and different what places are known for their type of food. So obviously, you go to Loudon, you get lobster and seafood and just stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I don't know how how do you stay in shape? Because if I was in your position of going out and trying these restaurants, I would be the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I would be the offspring of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and the Michelin Man. I'd be so fat.
Hey, I work out so I can eat. No, no, I do. Actually, I do a lot of CrossFit. I work out a ton doing CrossFit, and I have some unbelievable trainers at CrossFit 77 in Mooresville, and man, they kick my butt. They really do. There's days I walk out of there, I'm still sore today from Wednesday's workout, so it's pretty cool.
You talk about when you go from area to area in the U.S., there's different foods, different ethnic things that you can try and eat. You're here, you're at the brewery, Kansas City, world-renowned for its barbecue. With that being said, as a racer, though, when you go from different areas of the United States, do you see that the racing environment, some parts of the country is a little bit more uptight, some are more laid back, free-flowing? And if that's the case, which part of the country would be your favorite to race in?
Wow, that's an unbelievable question. It's cool. You get a diverse type of race fan depending on how much short track racing there is around the big track. The root of all of our sports all comes from Friday night short track racing, and that's the majority of the NASCAR fan. You go to a place like Michigan, they have short track racing up there, but those people would rather go to the infield and party than watch the race. I mean, they love painting their school buses and stuff like that. You go to Talladega, that's an unbelievable party. So the fans are awesome everywhere. I obviously love going to the West Coast because I'm a West Coast guy. I love Vegas, but the West Coast fans aren't as knowledgeable and enthusiastic as, say, Kentucky fans. People love the Kentucky Raceway. They finally got a cup race there. Holy moly, people couldn't even get into it. I mean, there's places you go that sell out. Bristol is probably one of my favorite because it brings in for everybody from everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's a cool place.
All right, more Under the Helmet for TJ Bell, driver for the Motorsports Group this weekend, driving the number 40 car. Who's your sponsor this weekend? Is it the Firestore again?
No, I wish it was. This weekend we got a blank canvas, so okay. We're going to try and go out there and put on a good show to get some more sponsors.
We'll get Joe's Karting put on there for you. But Bud's got plenty of money in his pocket. Girlfriend, wife, both?
Yep. Yeah,
both?
No, girlfriend, she's back in Mooresville right now cleaning the house. Actually, I think I just got a bunch of calls from her. So,
for the record, race car, girlfriend / wife, which one gives you more fits? Be careful on how you answer that.
Yeah, that's a fits.
Don't worry, nobody listens to the show. So
fits that I enjoy dealing with is the race car. Fits that I wish I could walk away from are the girlfriend. I think that's the best way I can put it. I love racing because it's challenging. I love women because they're challenging. But race car, I'd rather spend more time trying to fix the problems.
You can always sell a race car.
That's right.
You can't really sell a woman.
You can change setups.
Our
change
great grandfather
size.
screwed that selling women up a long time ago. I think I just got into a lot. We're gonna have to edit that part out. What do you do outside of racing to have fun? Is it fishing? Is it hunting? Is it crocheting? What do you do? You look like a crocheter to me.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm a wakeboarder, wake surfer, water baby, anything on the water. I mean, luckily I live in Lake Norman, so we're right there doing that. A lot of the guys in the garage before Pastrana came along labeled me as the extreme guy. I mean, we go base jumping, go skydiving, go whatever. Nothing what Pastrana does, but we're getting there. We're moving up. So anything that I might get hurt with is a good time.
I was telling Hudson here about a year ago that the motorsports group, out of all these teams, and all the teams have their social media, their representatives and all that, but the motorsports group is really good about being fan interactive. Mm-hmm. And it seems like all the drivers they have, it's like a close-knit band of brothers, and everybody's just fun. Mm-hmm. They focus on fun while getting the job done.
Yeah.
With that being said, and Hudson's out of the holler right now, what is the funniest quick story you can tell us about the motorsports group?
Well, it comes down to Hudson. Everyone knows he has a little bit of a stutter, and we rag on him about it a bunch, but you have to ask him to say Parker Kligerman. He cannot say Kligerman to save his life, and he'll get so mad. It is the funniest thing, and I'll have, when he's spotting for me, he'll be on the track in front of me, behind me, like, "Hey Hudson, who is that?" And he'll be like, "Parker, PK."
All right, we'll have to ask him that. TJ Bell, good luck this weekend. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
If you want to follow TJ Bell, you can check him out on Facebook. TJ Bell fan page. We just liked him on the Facebook page, so you can track him that way.
He's absolutely one of the most down-to-earth guys. I mean, right after qualifying, we went over and we were talking to him. I mean, he's actually very unassuming.
Very much so. And as you can hear, things are picking up. Engines are being warmed up and finally tuned for the weather today and for the day we're going to have. Before we take a break, let's finish up our interviews for the weekend. Kyle Larson, driver the number 32, obviously. Big news a couple of weeks ago, taking over the 42 for Juan Pablo Montoya. We got to talk with him for a few minutes. All right, we're in the hauler for the 32 for Turner Scott Motorsports. Driver Kyle Larson, the up-and-coming phenom, as everyone likes to call him. Kyle, thanks so much for taking your time on the front stretch.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for taking time to talk to me.
It's a no-brainer. Kyle, you've had quite a whirlwind couple of weeks, obviously getting the ride next year to race up in the Cup Series full-time. Talk briefly about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's a heck of a deal for me. I'm running the nationwide stuff this year through Turner Scott Motorsports with Chip Ganassi's help, and then about a month and a half ago, they asked me to run the Cup car for next season. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll run the Cup race next week at Charlotte, and then Martinsville a couple weeks later.
When you're racing in the Phoenix Racing number 51. Are you setting expectations for that race, or is it just going to be a strictly learning experience and see what you can do out there?
Definitely learn as much as you can and finish the race is the main goal. If you can do that and you get a top 17 or 18 place finish, I think that's pretty good for your first race with all those Cup guys who've been doing it for a long time. And two completely different tracks. You're going Talladega,
is it Charlotte, and then Martinsville. Is there some carryover as far as what you can do when you go from Charlotte to Martinsville?
Luckily enough, I got to test at Charlotte this week, and then Monday and Tuesday I'll test at Martinsville. So that'll help me out to get ready for those two races. But yes, I've never ran anything like Martinsville, so don't know what to expect going there, but hopefully it goes good.
What's the relationship with Jamie McMurray as of right now? Have you had conversations with him yet to lead up to Charlotte, or has it just been kind of focusing on you nationwide right now?
I haven't talked to Jamie a whole lot yet about the Charlotte stuff, but I've got to hang out with him a little bit throughout the year. We're both into karting, so we hung out and did that quite a bit. And just when I'm at the shop and stuff, he'll take time to talk to me and everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working with Jamie. He seems like a great coach for me. He's been in my shoes before, so it's good to have somebody like that, to keep teaching me a lot of things.
As a dirt track driver myself, and I've kind of taken over positions for some guys for certain races or for a season in another car. Next year, Have you put extra pressure on yourself, or are you just worried about Kyle Larson getting into the 42, knowing that there was a veteran driver in that car that had done some good things in the past?
Yeah, I'm not adding any pressure on me or anything like that. Just trying to go out there and do the best I can. I know a lot of people probably think I've got a lot of pressure on my back for next year, and also the end of this season. So, but I try not to think a whole lot about what's going on and whose spot I'm taking or whatever. I just want to go out there and race and do the best I can.
Do you get tired of all of the media asking you for all these, interviews and stuff? Does it get daunting with, as you've risen up through the ranks and now you're taking over a big ride? Is it just like, okay, I'm tired of asking questions. I just want to drive the dang car.
No, it's fine doing all the media stuff, and in NASCAR it's got a lot of that. And, so I like doing it. You get better each time you do an interview, and the driving part's still the most fun, but it's fun, talking to the media members and stuff, and thanking your sponsors and thanking the fans.
Kind of a necessary evil.
Yeah.
So the question, we were talking about when the news was coming out about, the rumors of you were taking over the 42, and Buddy and I had a big discussion about it, and obviously we've seen your talent on the track, and you are a talented driver. My big concern is that, we don't want this to turn out like another situation where somebody got put into a situation that was just too much pressure and it hindered their advancement. In a perfect scenario, would you stay in Nationwide for another year, maybe 2 years, and then come up to Cup if you were to have the guarantee of the exact same situation?
I don't think so, because I don't, the more you race, one certain style of race car, the more you get used to that. I think it's a harder transition once you get into Cup. Obviously there's things you can learn by racing Nationwide a little bit more, but luckily enough, I'll be doing both next year, so I'll be learning twice as much, and hopefully it all works out at the end of the year. And
what about your dirt commitment? You're obviously a big time dirt sprint car driver, won World of Outlaws, won just about everything in dirt, every big race. Have you begun to lay out your plans for next year? Are you going to cut back on your dirt commitments because you're going to be racing Cup and trying to focus on that? Or are you going to stay racing dirt and kind of play down there a little bit?
Well, with running Nationwide and Cup, that takes up most of your Thursdays to Sundays, so there's not a whole lot of time to go race sprint cars. But, if I could race 10 to 12 races, I'd be pretty happy with that. Just got to, work that out with the sponsors and the team and stuff. But, try and be involved, whether it's sponsoring, a friend or a driver or whatever. And, if I just like any time I can be involved in sprint racing, I'll be having fun.
The big question when Tony Stewart got hurt was: is there conversations going on in the garages about pulling back on dirt commitments? Because there's a lot of money invested in these Cup drivers, and for them to get hurt down on a dirt track really kind of hurts that money flow in. So has there been a conversation with you, with any of your sponsors, friends, family, about maybe you should draw back a little bit on dirt?
Not yet. I've had other drivers tell me that I need to, focus on Cup. It makes a lot of sense. Sponsors are putting in millions of dollars money in me. So, but obviously I know I'm gonna have to cut back a lot just from all the racing I'll be doing just in the stock car stuff. So. But I think they like me racing sprint cars. I think I've told them, and Tony's proven it time and time again, that racing sprint cars makes you better in stock cars and any type of racing. So I think they see that and appreciate it, and like I said, like when I go race that stuff.
That was Kyle Larson, driver the number 32 for the Motorsports, Turner Scott. I keep getting those two organizations screwed up. We're going to take a quick break, be back in turn 3 to talk to PJ Pederson, pit reporter and announcer at Crawford County Speedway, about the results last night at Crawford County Speedway. We'll be right back here on the Front Stretch.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he's talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kasiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kasiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308-383-9609. 308-383-9609.
It's time to check out what all the dirt drivers already know. Joe's Karting is the Metro's best place to go for kart racing, where the only speed restriction is how good you are, reaching up to 45 miles per hour while twisting and turning through a 25,000 square foot building. Joe's Karting is sure to raise your heart rate. It's time to find out how fast your knuckles will turn white. Located in Council Bluffs, just north of Bass Pro and next to AMC Theaters. Online at joeskarting.com. Get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Travis Pastrana here, driving the number 60 Roush Fenway Ford, and you're listening to Front Stretch.
Can he be any more energetic?
That guy was really excited. He must have definitely got the memo of how awesome we are, or at least the paycheck that I sent him to pay him off. Thank you again for tuning in and hanging out with us here on the front stretch, live from Kansas Speedway. You can hear it all in the background. Guys, can you keep just keep revving their engines?
Shut the motors down, please. We're trying to do a show here.
The nerve of these guys.
How rude.
Green flag just a few minutes away, and we're really excited to be doing it live for the, is this our second year doing it live or third year? This is our third year.
Yep.
Oh, it is our third. Okay, yeah, it is our third year doing it live. So, I'm really excited and having a lot of fun with it this weekend. Got to meet a lot of really cool people, fans also. Love these fans around here.
I know who that is. If the listeners can hear that engine, that's Keselowski. Dum da da dum da da dum dum dum.
We've been talking about all show long. Earlier in the year, after the final race at Crawford County Speedway, they tore up, redesigned them a little bit. Bit of banking, made it a little bit larger, and then ran a special race last night. And we're joined on the phone line by the man that called the races. PJ, thanks so much for taking over for me last night.
Oh, good morning, gentlemen. I apologize. My voice is a little blown out. It was an awesome night.
How did the racing go? First off, talk about that redesigned 3 and 4. What was it like?
You know, they've been kind of touting it that if you really want to, you could push it 6 wide. Nobody really tried that last night, but it added such a interesting dimension. Everybody at the start was kind of just picking it on the low side. They started widening it out as everybody got brave, and you know, people were getting such great runs off of turn 4 that it really just made everything exciting. We only had, the Sport Compacts was the class with the biggest margin of victory, and that was only 2.5 car lengths. Everybody else was closer in every class. I mean, it was just amazing.
What were the speeds like?
Actually, it looked like the speeds were a little bit higher. I know my driver, Joe Ladioff, came down last night, and he said after his hot lap session, he goes, man, it's amazing. I don't even have to lift in 3 and 4. I just flick it into 3 and don't even let off the gas at all. And that he had been having to let off to set it in all year.
You guys ran Sport Compacts, modifieds,
I apologize. You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit, but yeah, we ran everything except for the late models, and I'll tell you what, get into a few of the results real quick. Kid Rocket Tyler Thompson, our 2013 track champion, ended up winning over Adam Reese, who, of course, we all know set the world on fire the last 5 weeks, and it was on the margin of victory, 2.5 car lengths. That's it. Adam started up front. Tyler just kept picking his way through the field. And, you know, kind of a little interesting side note, Tyler and Cody's dad actually showed up and raced last night, was actually sitting top 5 before his motor blew. So nice to see the old man coming out and running a little bit. But, yeah, Sport Compact. Go ahead.
What was the? I wanted to ask you about this 13-year-old in the sport mods. I guess he looked pretty good.
I'm not sure which one that was. I didn't know we had a 13-year-old, but I do know
Jenkins.
Okay,
Ryan
yeah,
Jenkins.
he finished just right outside the top 10. I mean, didn't set the world on fire, but he was definitely right there. Very solid run from the kid, especially
I think that was his
considering
first race, buddy.
Well, especially considering we had 26 sport mods check in. We had 5 heats of them, so, you know, he did pretty good for himself there.
Ari Scouten lost an engine, is that right?
Yep, he lost it in hot laps and was not able to make it out the rest of the night, unfortunately, and I was really kind of looking forward to seeing him run, but I'll tell you, hobby stock class was exciting. We saw something that Shelby County has seen for years, which is Brent Derringer from Avoca came up, and it was a Madden Avoca show, or Madden Derringer show. Corey Madden was leading, Derringer was second, Chuck Madden was third for a while. Finally got by Derringer, and it ended up being a Madden and Madden show with Corey winning and Chuck finished in second.
But you mean to tell me that somebody other than Jason Cole won a stock car race?
Surprisingly, Cole ended up in an accident, spun, went to the back, and only managed to come back up to 10th.
Huh. Well,
yeah.
That's still a good night, though. I mean, when you go to the back of the field.
Yeah. But no, sport mods, you know, this makes me wonder something. If the Scott boys wouldn't have been DQ'd middle of the season, would Doug Smith have walked away with the title? Keegan Scott ended up beating Doug Smith and flat outran him. Doug was right there on his rear bumper, but could not get by Keegan at all. Keegan protected that low line, and you know, so it really makes me wonder if things would have been a little bit different. Stock car class, heartbreaker and amazing story all at the same time. The 63 of Mike Nichols, about halfway through the race, picks his way up to the front after battling Tony Hardesty after a few restarts. Of course, Tony Hardesty runs corning a lot. Started walking away, 5 laps to go. Something comes amiss in that 63 car coming out of turn 2. He has to pull in the infield. His night is done. The benefactor, none other than Marcus Hansen from Odebolt, getting his first feature victory last night.
Really?
Yes.
Good for him,
yes.
Marcus.
Oh yeah, I mean he's really been improving, Dan. I know you've been really watching from the booth, and that kid's been picking it up a lot more. Of course, his dad, Mark Hansen, owns Rex Chevrolet in Odebolt. Him and his brother Steve used to dominate in Denison for years. But
all right,
the race,
we got to wrap it up real quick, bud. We got to wrap it up real quick. But what your final thoughts on the redesign? Is it going to be a big change for next year?
Let it settle, and it will be. And the modified feature showed that last night when you had Travis Hatcher and the eventual winner Bob Moore side by side for the last 12 laps, not giving an inch.
All right, PJ, I always do appreciate you checking in, and thank you for filling in for me last night. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. You guys enjoy the race and have fun in your last day in Kansas City.
We will try. But doesn't think we're not going to have to try very hard.
Yeah.
We'll be right back in turn 4. We're going to wrap this baby up and talk with our Goodyear engineer about the latest tire design. This is the Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, located just north of Bass Pro. Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
This week's Legend of Tomorrow on the Front Stretch is Nikki Pumpkin Sparks of Lenox, Iowa. Nikki is a 6th grader at Lenox and just finished her sophomore year of racing at Clark County Speedway in Osceola, Iowa. Nikki is 4th-generation racer and the first female in her family to try her hand at the high banks of southern Iowa. Nikki has spent most of her life at a dirt track helping any way she can. Outside of racing, Nikki loves animals, but her favorites are horses and dogs. She plays volleyball, basketball, and runs in track, but nothing compares to racing. An avid NASCAR NASCAR fan, she hopes to follow in the footsteps of Danica Patrick, Jennifer Jo Cobb, and every other female driver that's broken down the barriers in auto racing. Nikki plans to return to Clark County Speedway in 2014 and has been working hard to make sure she's fully prepared for her third year of racing. Keep your eyes out for Nikki Punkin Sparks. She's this week's Legend of Tomorrow on the front stretch.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Hey, this is Matt Kenseth, and you're listening to the front stretch.
He about punched me when I got that because he thought I was trying to steal his food.
Really?
Yeah. I'd have been okay with that. I mean, listen.
Get punched by a champion?
I'd have been okay with that.
Yeah.
A former NASCAR Sprint Cup champion and current points leader for the Sprint Cup. Heck yeah, I'd have been okay with getting punched by him.
If Bob Pockris can get 15 minutes worth of fame, you would have gotten 10 seconds worth of fame.
Yeah, they may not have talked about that very much. Turn 4 brought to you by I-80 Speedway. The Cornhusker Classic is next weekend. It got here quick, man. It just seemed like we were talking about the Midwest Meltdown.
Yeah, hey, special announcement on that. B-Mod racer Sean Conway from I-80 Speedway. Him and his wife are in the United States Air Force, and with the government shutdown, they have no income coming in.
Yep.
So he sold his car, and when him and his wife put their butts on the line to give me the opportunity to do what I call racing, or what I think is racing, then to me it seemed only right to pay it forward. And if there's any listeners out there with a 5.0 or a 514 rear gear, look me up in the Omaha Council Bluffs area ASAP. I'm going to try to put Sean in one of my race cars.
You know which one yet? The Dirtworks or the...
No, right now it looks like it's the DW11 Dirtworks, my baby as I call it, and I'll drive the Prowler, but if we can get the Prowler done, then he'll be in that and I'll be in my Dirtworks.
The Cornhusker Classic going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a 3-day event. There are A-Mods, B-Mods, Pro-Ams, Grand Nationals, Hobbies, Nebraska 360 Sprints, SLMRs, the super late models. A lot of classes going on each and every night. 3,000, 2,000, 4,000 to win. It's going to be a huge night. And we talked to Joe last night. He's applying for the burn permit so that the fire can come back. Last year, because of the drought, there was a burn ban in the area, but it has been lifted, and you can have the fire back. They're going to do the fire on Friday and Saturday night, so that'll be a great tradition that's coming back to the Cornhusker Classic.
Isn't there a 50-50 shot we might be live from the Classic next week?
We're going to be live next weekend, definitely. If we can find a reason to be there, we'll be there. Just, I like to be in a nice warm studio some mornings. I-80 Speedway.
Permit. We can be by the burn ring.
I-80Speedway.com for more information. Again, the Cornhusker Classic. It is the final show at I-80 Speedway next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 11th, 12th, and 13th. I-80Speedway.com for more information. Our final interview of the day, we talked with Justin Fantozi of Goodyear about the tire design, and here was the result of that interview. All right, we're standing here with Justin Fantozi, Marketing Director. Did I get that right?
Close. Marketing Manager, but we'll take it.
Marketing Manager. And describe your job responsibilities for Goodyear.
So I have a number of responsibilities, one being, track to street, street to track, making sure that the big yellow letters and the name is protected and the customers recognize it and see it, and it's top of mind for purchase intent. But then I also handle a lot of the inventory control and the operations for Cup, Nationwide, and Truck.
You mentioned that the inventory control, that's got to be a little tough. Nationwide in Cape Trucks here is a little easier because they're limited to how many tires they can use, but Cup's basically unlimited. So do you kind of have a general idea before you walk into a track how many tires you're going to need?
So one of the changes in the Cup Series a couple of years ago was actually establishing a hard limit for race sets. So we'll have a limit for practice and qualifying, and then we'll have a hard limit for the race itself. Now, the difference is that it's much larger. So we'll see 4 or 5 sets for trucks typically. We'll see 6 or 7 for Nationwide. Here in Kansas, you're up to 10 sets just for the race for Cup, in addition to the 5 for practice and qualifying, in addition to the 4 that we had for the open test day.
Big news story, obviously, you're bringing they're calling it version 2.0 of the new tire. Can you talk about that a little bit so our listeners can understand exactly what's so new about this tire?
So for Kansas, with the multi-zone technology, the solution is basically the same as Atlanta. We just came at it a bit differently. So Atlanta, we see a lot of wear. We see a high wear rate, and we needed to protect that inside edge on the right front from a wear standpoint. Here at Kansas, when we were here in the spring, the guys thought the car was a little jittery. So we tried to give them a little more left side grip, so we went a little bit softer on the left side than the spring race. Well, that actually allowed the car to get a little bit quicker. So now we got into a heat zone or a heat area that we weren't very comfortable with on the right side. So you see that endurance zone or the inside edge a little bit harder than when we were here in the spring, but the outside edge, the traction edge, is actually the same. And that balance was very nice for the drivers when we were here for the tire test earlier in the summer.
Can you take us through that process, clear back to day one where you're like, okay, we want to use this version 2.0 tire. Take us through that process and maybe how you guys, determine what tires you use from track to track.
So the process is the same. It's the balance between heat and grip. So the drivers and even our guys, we try to provide the softest thing for the drivers to give them the most grip, yet at the same time you have to have a balance between grip and durability. So you don't want to be over the edge and end up with a durability issue. At the same time, you want to provide enough grip. So this just happens that it's another tool in the toolbox for our engineers to come with a good solution to the racetrack.
You mentioned that you were listening to drivers, that the car was a little too jittery with the tire. How much do you take driver input into bringing a new tire or a different tire to a track?
So there's about 60 Goodyear folks running around the racetrack on any given weekend, none of which sit behind the seat. None of them sit behind the wheel. So the driver input, the crew chief input is definitely a part of the development process. You have to rely on it.
Here I learned 3 years ago that you have a setup tire and then you have your race tire. Some of our listeners, what's a setup tire? What is a setup tire compared to a race tire?
So that time frame, there was a limitation on how much testing the teams could do on their own. They weren't allowed to go to a nationally sanctioned racetrack, that there was also an event. So what we did is we actually grooved out some of the rubber across the tread face so that the tire was able to be used in the shop. You could roll the car around in the shop and put it on scales and do all the work that you needed to on the shocks and the springs pre-race, but there was not enough rubber on the tread surface in order to get any good laps at a racetrack.
Talking with Justin Fantozi of Goodyear. Justin, thanks so much for taking your time with us. One final question for you. In a situation where you guys are having a race day going on, you're seeing a lot of tires blowing, is it a hectic situation where you guys are running around? And how deep are you working with the teams to find out, is it a setup or is it a tire issue?
So if there is, perchance, we're at a racetrack and there is a tire that has rapid air loss, absolutely we're working with the teams. The engineers, one of the neat things that we do is the engineers that design and develop the tire are actually the guys that are on pit lane. Now, there's no 800 number that a crew chief or a driver will call looking for a call center that eventually gets to this person, eventually gets back to the engineers. It's one-on-one. So we take it very seriously. We want to know why. Is it a cut? Is it a team that started below the recommendation of air pressure? So we want to know what that is, what the inputs are, and then how we go about fixing it.
Awesome. Interesting information, and we do appreciate your time, Justin.
Absolutely.
And that was Justin Fantozi of Goodyear. It was good to talk to him. This new tire they've got coming up for today's race is going to be very interesting.
The one thing the listeners didn't, and I wish we would have gotten it, was I asked the question off the record, 10 years, 15 years from now, do we have a microchip or data acquisition inside the tire? And he said in 10 years we would see that, and they've actually tried to test and develop that tire now, but in 10 years, can you imagine watching the Daytona 500 or even the Hollywood Casino 400 here at Kansas, and they can see a tire going down like you had pointed out, or they could see the tread coming apart, stuff like that.
The cooler temperatures today are going to make for much faster racing. The race yesterday for the Nationwide was under cooler temperatures to start with, and we saw some incredibly fast speeds. We're going to see it again today for the Hollywood Casino 400. I don't think you're going to see the old Kansas track.
No.
This is going to be a very different Kansas track.
This is going to be a fast.
A second groove is working its way in, and this is. I'm very excited about this race. Cannot wait for it to get underway. KansasSpeedway.com. More information for tickets to be available to you. Also, Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the front stretch. If you can't make your way down here, at least make your way to Council Bluffs for all of the green flag action. Racing kicks off at about 1 o'clock today. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and a big thank you goes out to Craig back in the studio for making sure we get on the air, Kansas Speedway for all of the hospitality, and our good friend Chris Morris, who is taking all of our photos this weekend. We'll get those posted on the Front Stretch later this week. Any last words, bud?
No, just tune in. Like I said, turns 1 and 2, multi-groove, turns 3 and 4. You got a single lane, but it is fast around here.
Thanks so much for joining us here on the Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
It's time to check out what all the dirt drivers already know. Joe's Karting is the Metro's best place to go for kart racing, where the only speed restriction is how good you are, reaching up to 45 miles per hour while twisting and turning through a 25,000 square foot building. Joe's Karting is sure to raise your heart rate. It's time to find out how fast your knuckles will turn white. Located in Council Bluffs, just north of Bass Pro and next to AMC Theaters. Online at joeskarting.com. Get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kasiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kasiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the Front Stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.